This is our news, the weekend edition. And on the broadcast tonight, find out how more than $1 billion in pledges will be spent on the hurricane relief and restoration efforts. Plus, the tourism minister calls arrival numbers for the first quarter of 2020 depressing. And then later on, we take a look at a local high school's thriving farming program.
Our news is brought to you by Alive.
Good evening, I'm Andrew Nold, and thanks so much for joining us. After receiving $1.5 billion in pledges towards Hurricane Dorian relief and restoration, Minister of Disaster Preparedness, Management and Reconstruction, Aram Lewis, telling reporters the government has identified its 6 pillars that it will be focusing on, and the majority of the funds will be spent on establishing the Family Relief Center.
We were able to utilize the money, as was indicated yesterday, to help with our Family Relief Center, and the majority of the funds were spent on that, not only the dome itself, but the infrastructure. And we've designed the infrastructure in such a way when the temporary housing facility or the Family Relief Center is done away with, the infrastructure will be in position for us to now create a subdivision. It won't be as dense as the dome facility will be, but of course it will be adequate enough to house a local government housing subdivision.
According to Lewis, $250,000 has been used to keep shelters open.
Part of the money, again, like I said, was used for the shelter. Some $250,000 was used at the Kendall Jail Isaac Gymnasium, as well as we put in a $17.5 thousand generator, backup generator. The RVs that was imported for government services also was a part of the funds that was donated, and the purchase of the RV was over $2.2 million. The infrastructure for that was again almost $250,000.
The remaining funds will be used for infrastructural updates and changes.
We have a wiggle room of about $2 million, and of course that will also be used to help with our further infrastructural development. Of course, power was very important. Having the airport up and running is very important. Having the harbor cleared and operational also is very important. And in Marsh Harbor, as well as in Cooperstown, we call it now Northport, they are also open to receive goods, and as a result of that, we can also give additional services.
Well, despite the launch of the Ministry of Tourism's Bahamas Still Rocking campaign, Minister of Tourism and Aviation Dionisio Diagler said the projected arrival numbers are still depressing, but he is hopeful a change is on the way. Our Giorgio Bain reports.
According to Diagler, his ministry will continue to watch the depressing arrival numbers for the first quarter of 2020. However, tourism officials are cautiously optimistic that the last-minute visitors will drive up numbers.
We're optimistic. What we are seeing is that if you look 3 or 4 months out, the numbers can be quite depressing. But as you get closer to that month, the numbers improve drastically and dramatically. So what that is telling us is as potential visitors learn about the Bahamas and okay, everything is fine and they get a comfort level, they're booking. So they're booking later than they were in the past, but they're booking nonetheless. And I think we had a good Christmas. And January is looking promising.
According to Diagler, part of the reason the industry continues to grow despite the impact of Dorian is that his ministry has done an excellent job getting the message out that the Bahamas is open for business.
February's looking all right. March we have to work on, and April's looking promising. So, you know, as we look through the first quarter, March is our only concerning month, but we know that now, and so we can mobilize resources to try and close the gap between last year and this year.
Diagler said while Grand Bahama is experiencing a rebound in visitor arrivals, Abaco has a long way to go and the loss of revenue is devastating.
We always have to take into consideration that we've lost Abaco, and Abaco was an engine, was really our second busiest market. Grand Bahama is beginning to come back, not to the extent that it was last year, but still it's beginning to come back faster than, say, Abaco. Abaco has a long way to go, primarily because they have infrastructural concerns that need to be addressed. And it really isn't open for tourism in a meaningful sense yet. There's one or two pockets, but in a meaningful sense, it's not. And that was a significant destination in the Bahamas.
Reporting for our News Weekend Edition, I'm Georgie O'Bain.
The Tourism and Aviation Minister also telling reporters the government is still unhappy with the state of and rate of repair of the Grand Bahama Airport. Diagolo told reporters earlier this week that the government is still weighing its options on the future of the airport.
I think the situation is still very fluid. The government of the Bahamas is considering its options as it relates to the airport. We're not happy with the condition of the airport. We're not happy at the pace of the repairs of that airport. And so we're exploring our options. I don't think we've concretized anything yet. We're still looking at if there was going to be a deal, what would that deal look like? And so it's moving, and the government is not happy with the current situation and looking to rectify that.
Leader of the Democratic National Alliance, Arinthia Komolafe, is crying shame on the government for the bad timing of BPL's rate reduction bond, which will cause an increase in power bills in the coming months. Here again is Georgie O'Bain.
During his address at Bahamas Business Outlook, BPL Chairman Donovan Moxey announced that electricity bills are expected to go up by 15% in March to tackle the power company's $321 million legacy debt. DNA leader Arinthia Komolafe said Bahamians will be stuck paying for the ill-advised decisions of previous administrations.
When you really think about it, when you look at it, we're paying for the poor management of this organization over many years. Spanning across multiple administrations. The timing is bad, yes, but it's also us paying more for the ill-advised policies of successive administrations. Yes, we have to get our energy platform in order.
Works Minister Desmond Bannister has said he expects low interest rates for the bonds, as he has been receiving favorable feedback on the power company. He encouraged Bahamians to prepare to purchase shares in the company. According to Komolafe, with residents already struggling to pay their bills, that statement is laughable.
They're out to lunch. Who's going to afford this? But the same Bahamians at the top end of the ladder who are already not really feeling the brunt, even though they may be impacted by the state of affairs in the country, not to the extent that the average Bahamian is feeling it, the poor, the working, and the middle class. Who's going to buy into this rate reduction bond? You know, when they sold that to us before OWN Bahamas, they actually had to give a loan to public servants, if you remember, with the port deal. They had to give a loan to public servants to be able to buy into these things. Nobody has disposable income sitting around.
Komolafe added the government is exacerbating the financial crisis of the country.
Really and truly, it just seems as though this administration is just committed to finding ways to heap, they just, without apology. You know, they just continue to heap one cost after the other on the average Bahamian. The timing is poor, just like we said, the increase in value-added tax, the timing was poor for that, because when they came to office, the economy was still soft, it was just recovering. We had the hope of Bahama on the horizon, but they exacerbated the financial crisis in this country by these ill-advised policies. So yes, the timing of this rate reduction bond is poor, although at the same time, we understand that there are certain things that need to be done with BPL, but the question is, could you have found another avenue?
Reporting for our News, I'm Georgie O'Bain.
In other news, a government building on San Salvador was destroyed by fire last night. At this time, police say the cause of the fire has not been determined. It was around 11 p.m. when officers were on patrol in the settlement of Coburn Town when they noticed smoke emanating from the government administration building. Now, officers received assistance from the airport fire department in extinguishing the fire. However, the single-story structure was destroyed. Fire services officers from New Providence will travel to San Salvador to continue investigations into this incident. Well, still to come, we talk to student farmers at CB Bethel.
Check. That's all you've been doing on this court was traveling. When you see me travel, go watch my free NBA pass game. I can come back out and smoke it. Spicy.
Free NBA pass.
Doing what Rev doing. Each month they send a lucky customer on an all-expense-paid trip to the States to watch a game. And even if you don't win that, you could have a local experience because they can pay for all your food and drinks and participate in bars, so you still can have a good time, bro.
I could get in on that.
All you have to do is sign up for Trio and you enter the drawing. Ferrari, don't lie.
Don't get denied like this guy. Make sure you come through in the clutch. Sign up for Trio and be a Rev NBA All-Star. Guarantee your chance to win a free trip to an NBA game every month when you sign up for Trio today. Call 601-8992. Terms and conditions apply. Rev, you and us together.
Welcome back to our news, the weekend edition. Students at CV Bethel Senior High School say the school's farming program has changed their outlook on life. Our Jared Higgs tells us more.
We need more farming to go on so we could produce and sell our own products to make our own money.
17-year-old Aaliyah Henfield and her classmates in CV Bethel's agriculture program are well aware of the fact that the country imports nearly $1.1 billion worth of food every year.
It'll help us save more money and make more money for the country.
Henfield and her classmates enjoy working in the garden. Another student, 15-year-old Shantae Smith, pointed out that the Bahamas gets millions of visitors from the U.S. each year, and when they arrive, they mostly eat food produced in their own country.
They come over here, and we have to give them back what they have, and that doesn't make any sense. We have to give them something new, because they come into a new country, that's why they came over here.
Hasima Johnson has coordinated the agriculture program at the school for 16 years. She says the help of sponsors has made the program a success, and they even sell their crops to local buyers. She admits, though, that some children take some convincing.
Initially, as I said, when the kids come, they are a bit reluctant to pursue agriculture. But after they would have been indoctrinated, because as long as you would come into Mrs. Johnson's class and Mr. Gonzalez, we convince them, we show them how agriculture can prepare them for life, not just school.
For me, I didn't like it at first because I didn't like the sun, and every time it changed.
I could say it's rough sometimes, but most of the times it's rewarding.
I learned the ants, but I thought I'd never learn in life, like how to kill my own chicken, how to raise animals, and how to make money from doing basic things.
Recently, the school made headlines after 2 students were stabbed by a schoolmate. The incident highlighted the types of challenges facing the school. However, 16-year-old Edward McKenzie says there is much more to the institution.
Like the incident doesn't reflect what happens in school, but despite the incident, it's still an excellent school.
The program's coordinator agrees. Sadly, she says bad news travels faster than good.
There are negatives, there are positives, but so many positives happen, and unfortunately the news don't come to showcase the positives, but the negatives go like feather.
Surely, though, children working hard and learning a skill is positive news worth sharing. One student even says it changed her life.
I just enjoying it, and it helped me to be a farmer and life.
Reporting for Our News Weekend, I'm Jared Higgs.
When our news, the weekend edition, comes back from the break, find out more about one of the TV shows airing next week on RTV.
Check. So all you've been doing on this court was traveling. When you see me travel to go watch my free NBA pass game, I can come back harder, smoke it, spicy.
Free NBA pass.
Doing what Rev doing. Each month they send a lucky customer on an all-expense-paid trip to the States to watch a game. And even if you don't win that, you could have a local experience because they can pay for all your food and drinks and participate in bars, so you still can have a good time, bro.
I could get in on that.
All you have to do is sign up for Trio and you enter the drawing. Ferrari, don't lie.
Don't get denied like this guy. Make sure you come through in the clutch. Sign up for Trio and be a Rev NBA All-Star. Guarantee your chance to win a free trip to an NBA game every month when you sign up for Trio today. Call 601-8992. Terms and conditions apply. Rev, you and us together.
artist. Atlas Jones is what they call her.
It's a modern adaptation of a well-known Bahamian folklore tale. Where in the World is Wally premieres on RTV Monday night at 8 p.m. It chronicles the tales of the Bahamian man who goes missing and the flurry over his family's quest to find him. Originally set in Rum Key, the series, created by Bahamian filmmaker Travolta Cooper, is a global production with a fully Bahamian cast and crew. Cooper recently shared with us his thoughts on how this original series will impact audiences.
The show is based on a folktale that my grandmother told us when we were kids. And it was essentially about this man that was missing, but it had a twist to it as to why he was missing. And she was a brilliant storyteller, as most of our grandparents are. They come from that generation of storytelling and not TV. So, and she told this story about a man who drank a lot, that lived on Rum Key, and suddenly he went missing. And he was popping up around the world, right? It's a very, very old story, very old Bahamian story, which the older Bahamians I've showed it to were like, they completely understood what I was trying to do because they know that phenomenon. But my challenge was, how do I translate this to a modern audience? How do I translate this to our generation? And so I had to find a way to sort of balance real Bahamian life with Bahamian folklore. Dorian happened in 2019, and the mood of the country sort of shifted. And so Wally became something a little more, we think. It became something more relevant and something more real to Bahamians in the space we're in right now. The look of it is something we haven't really seen before. It's a global Bahamian series, you know, so, I mean, because Wally begins in Amsterdam, and then it comes home, right? And so we've not quite seen ourselves this way before. I've never seen really Bahamian folklore exploited like this before. And Bahamian folklore is that Bahamian stuff, you know? The Bookie and Barabi tales, that Wally encompasses that space. And so it remains to be seen what it's done to advance. I think for the cast and crew that are a part of it and that have seen it, we all feel like this is something new, this is something fresh, this is something that's going to advance the industry forward.